Hi everyone, for this particular craft, I was inspired by the Cinderella Coach pumpkins that are hanging in Walt Disney World this time of year. This beautiful wreath is super easy to recreate and really embodies the whole vibe of autumn. And who doesn't like to have some Disney touches in their crafts? So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the project. I'm starting out with a pool noodle from Dollar Tree, and you can get this in any color because we're just going to wrap this with ribbon. But essentially, I'm just going to bring the two ends together, and I'm going to take a piece of duct tape, and I'm just using duct tape from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to wrap it around the end to secure it. I did try the method of wrapping the ribbon around the pool noodle before you secure the ends, and honestly, it just didn't work for me. You do you at the end of the day, but I just wrapped the duct tape around the ends. And then now I'm just going to take some beautiful ribbon from Dollar Tree from their autumn collection, and I'm going to go ahead and fold down one of the ends and then secure that with some hot glue right on top of the duct tape. I love to wrap ribbon around my wreath forms. I just find that it gives me a really good base to work with, and with this being foam, you need to have something like that unless you're using zip ties to kind of secure things down. So as you can see here, I'm just taking the ribbon, wrapping it all the way around, overlapping it. Doesn't have to be perfect because this is all going to get covered at the end. So just wrap it all the way around. When you do get to the very end of the circle and you're back up to the top, you're just going to cut off whatever excess you have. I ended up using 2 full spools of Dollar Tree ribbon for this, and then I just fold the end down and then hot glue that right into place like I did at the beginning. And then once everything's secure, I just kind of form the circle back into shape. And here you can see a huge selection of Dollar Tree florals. This year they blew it out of the water for me. Their autumnal selection and florals was stunning. Just look absolutely real, and the colors are just point on. Now, this particular stem I got from a local Christmas shop that was already had their Christmas selection out. This was $2.99. And what you're going to do with these stems, you're just going to remove the leaves, and I'm just using some wire cutters to remove all the leaves from their stems. Now, I wanted a very full autumnal wreath, so again, you can make this as minimal as you possibly can, but I think I ended up using about 10 to 15 of the Dollar Tree stems here. Now, the stems that did have the pumpkins and the little foam beads at the very ends, I just ended up clipping those off because I will be using them in this project. But as you can see, a lot of leaves. At the end of it, it's going to look like a huge pile of autumn leaves that you just want to jump right into. And I'm using also from my stash some Christmas florals from last year. They're just gold leaves. So use anything that you have currently in your stash that just reminds you of autumn. I definitely am going to be using a lot of metallics in this particular project. And essentially what you're going to do is you're just going to glue down the leaves and really have fun with this. Orient the leaves in different directions, but you're just going to keep covering all the way around, cover the sides so it's completely all covered. And yeah, just get creative. There's really no rhyme or reason to this particular step. It's just adding leaf upon leaf. And at the very end of it, you're going to see that it's going to be very, very full. So as you can see here, I covered all the way around and covered the sides. And this is just the first layer. I think I did about 3 to 4 layers of the leaves and pretty much used up all the leaves that I had from the stems that I had cut. So now we're just going to go ahead and start adding in the berries that we had cut from the stems and the pumpkins, and just kind of use your own judgment when you're going around it, what looks good. Fill in those gaps with the foam beads like you can see here with the pumpkins, and everything will start to look really cohesive and beautiful together. I'm still going around and adding in the berries around the wreath, and as you can see, I did already add in some of the gold metallic leaves, and that was from a Christmas stem that I got from Dollar Tree as well. All of that you see in front of you right now is from Dollar Tree, so pretty amazing in terms of the quality. I was blown away. I mean, equivalent to Michael's. It was beautiful. Now the gorgeous chocolate glittery leaves that I'm adding in, that is from my local Christmas tree shop or Christmas shop that was carrying a lot of Christmas florals. And this one, although it doesn't scream Christmas, it screams autumn to me, and I love chocolate brown with pumpkin spice. It's one of my favorite combinations in this world. And then if you add glitter to anything, of course, hello, it's great. I also added in the gold metallic maple leaves, and this was from a pack of stems that I had from Michael's a couple years ago, and I thought, hey, it's perfect for this project. Let's go ahead and incorporate it. So like I said, always go back into your stash and see what you currently have from a couple years ago, last year's autumn. You'll be surprised what you find sometimes. Now to start crafting the Cinderella Coach, I am just using a smaller pumpkin from Michael's. This was $9.99, but I got it for 50% off. But essentially, I'm just going to go ahead and cut using my hot knife and just cut around that line around the pumpkin. That will give you a really good guide. And be very, very careful when you're cutting into these foam pumpkins, at least to start, because it can be a little bit hard to get in there until you start cutting around. So do take your time, but once you get it all cut all the way around, you're going to be able to just separate it very easily. Now I'm using this amazing paint from Michael's, and this is Folk Art Treasure Gold in the color Fire Opal. It was the perfect, beautiful pumpkin color I was looking for metallic wise, and this went on like a dream. It was full opacity in less than 2 coats, and just was so easy to work with. So if you've ever worked with the Folk Art metallic paints, I highly recommend this particular paint line. It's really good. And for the top coat, I'm just using this same Folk Art Fire Opal. It's kind of interesting because it's not as rich as the base, but it is still the same color. Is that not weird? But as you can see, it gives it kind of a really nice peachy, blushy look, which I really love, and kind of tone down the redness of the original coat. Now I'm going to go ahead and create the door to the pumpkin carriage. So I just roughly drew out a sketch of the Cinderella Coach door, and basically I just used one of my wax pieces of paper and drew on the side that was matte, and then on the side that is glossy, I'm going to use my hot glue gun to outline all of that. So I was trying to figure out a way to create the door in a very inexpensive way, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna create it using hot glue, and it turned out really nicely. So just gonna go around a few times, and it looks a little bubbly in a couple areas, but it will settle as soon as the glue does end up drying fully. I also did the same technique for the crest, and then of course the Cinderella C that will be inside of the crest. I'm going to be using my favorite gold paint. This is Deco Art Elegant Finish in Glorious Gold. I love this paint, and as you can see, I'm about 3/4 of the way done with it. So I use it in a lot of my projects, and it's probably one of the best gold paints I've ever used. To create the beautiful wheels on the coach, I am using some wire. I got this wire off of Amazon, and I'm using it in the 12 gauge, I believe it is. And originally I decided to use a 16 gauge, and what I found, it was too thin. So definitely keep in mind that as you increase the gauge of your wire, it will be thinner. If you lessen the gauge of your wire, it will be thicker. So again, I originally used a 16 gauge, didn't work for me. This is a 12 gauge, and it was the perfect thickness that I needed to kind of have the wheels stand out a little bit more. So as you can see, I am just kind of configuring the wire into the shape that I need for the wheels of the coach. And then additionally, I separate a secondary piece of wire and create some additional scrolls at the base of the coach. So you'll see that in a moment. I made 2 additional scrolls for each side, and this was so that it forms a little bit of a heart, as you can see here, which I love. It adds a little bit of romanticness to it. And then at the very top, I took another piece of wire. I used a chopstick, and I just wrapped it several times around, took it off the chopstick, and then I had this really cute spiral that I just put right on top of the stem. Now I'm using E6000 here to glue the bottom of the scroll to the base. And then I, of course, let that cure for about 24 hours. Once that has dried, I am going to now add the other scrolls to make the heart on either side. And to glue that in place, I actually ended up using some hot glue. And then I'm also using some hot glue to glue the wheels down as well, as soon as I figure out the right orientation for it. I added a varnish on top of the pumpkin, and I just used the Deco Art Duraclear gloss varnish, and I just love the finish that it gives it. Before we glue the carriage door down, I'm going to use it as a template to outline the window, and I'm going to use the colors gold and fire opal that I used on the base of the pumpkin. And this is just to give kind of a silhouette of a window. So I'm just tracing right around it, and then I'm going to go ahead and paint it using the mixture, like I said, of the gold and the fire opal. Once dry, I'm going to go ahead and use E6000 to adhere my coach door and the crest and the Cinderella seat on it. To attach the pumpkin to the wreath, I'm going to use the Supplimax. It's an illusion cord. I got this from Michael's, and I attached it in 3 spots. So one on each side and then one right in the center of the stem. And I'm just using a needle and attached it to the cord and just sewed it into the wreath itself. Once I sewed the pumpkin into the wreath itself, then I glued the wheels into little pieces of the wreath. And as you can see in the next shot here, it turned out so perfect. I love it so much. My mom actually wanted this wreath as soon as she saw it. She's like, I want to have this. So it's actually living with my mom now, but I love it. It's probably one of my most favorite wreaths that I have ever made. And I'm so in love with the turnout. So I hope you guys give this a shot. It was so much fun to make, super easy, right? A lot of materials are from Dollar Tree, not very hard to do at all. So if you love the Walt Disney World Cinderella Coach pumpkin wreaths, you now can have one in your own home. So I hope you guys like this video. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.